talk about bringing awareness to patterning. Patterning in the physical body, like musculoskeletal patterning, but also patterning in the thoughts. The go-to thought, if you do something wrong, what is your go-to? Do you have a whole narrative? I know I do. Many people do. This whole thing of, scolding oneself. This doesn't help for anxiety. It definitely makes things worse, but it tends to be the go-to. So a couple of things. Thinking about what the patterns are in your thoughts. Let's start there. And this would be good if you do like to journal. This would be a really useful tool, either during or after, to write about this and your experience with it, because this can be quite eye-opening at times, is noticing the quality of the thoughts. Would you say those thoughts out loud to someone you love? How long have you been saying those thoughts, repeating them? We'll learn a little bit more about neuroplasticity in the coming modules, but basically that means like the groove in the record, right? The groove that we create in our neural pathways. There's a little saying, what fires together wires together, meaning if we repeatedly think negatively or self-blame or whatever it is, if we have a phrase that we like to hook into ourselves when we do something that we think is wrong, or we've done something, we failed at something, if there's that line, that thought, the more that you repeat it, it's like praying on it. It's like, this is my wish, I want this. The more that you repeat that thought, the deeper the groove gets in the brain, in the neural pathways, and the easier it goes to. The good news is we can change that, but this is why sometimes those thoughts are so readily available there, those negative thoughts. And sometimes we get mad at ourselves for thinking the thoughts, that's not helpful either. It's okay. We're human. So there's the patterning in the thoughts. There's also patterning in the way we treat ourselves. And there's patterning in our physical movement. Now, there can be a couple of reasons for patterning in the physical body. If you've had an injury, if you've had a surgery, chances are other parts of the body at some point came in to kind of help and support and take over. The problem is once we are healed, quite often we don't notice that the compensatory motions or movements are still happening. And so even though we're healed, we're now creating a problem on the other side. For instance, if it was like, let's say, a knee replacement, and the other side has been carrying the load that whole time leading up to the surgery and after the surgery. So then when you are healed, suddenly now you're having problems on the other knee. That could be why, because we don't bring the awareness to notice, oh, I'm still doing that thing. The other thing is just maybe you were told by a parent. I'll give my example. My mom always told me to suck in my belly, suck in my belly. And so I stopped breathing in the appropriate manner. And this is also partly why I have a shallow breath and holding my breath, because by sucking in my belly as I inhaled, this is the wrong direction. It does not allow the diaphragm to actually lower. So it forces a shallow breath. So there's a whole thing that I didn't even figure out for decades that was happening. And many of us were probably told, suck in your belly. No offense to mom. Love mom. She didn't know. Just pointing out that there's lots of things that we do. Also, just habitual patterns like When you brush your teeth, is it always on the right side on the bottom that you start on? If you're right-handed, are you always just using your right hand to open doors or, lift the milk jug out or pour something? When you step up or down stairs, is it always the same foot that leads? These are very important observations to explore for yourself for multiple reasons. Going back to the brain loves novel, new things, even if it's the exact same thing, but now you're opening the door with the left hand, at least sometimes. Mix it up. The brain loves that. It helps with the cognitive flexibility. So throwing in some new ways to do what you always do, starting on brushing on the left side if you're always starting on the right side, even that, the brain's like, oh, that's different. It brings it out of autopilot. So then you're present again, aren't you? You're brought to being present because the brain now has to pay attention. It's not on autopilot. It's like questioning what you're doing. This is something new. Even walking home a different way, eating a different food, all of these things, the brain loves it. So being aware of the patterns, but also bringing in some, when you do notice, bringing in a little bit of a different way of doing things, not only good for the brain, but also will help balance your physical body better, because we tend to get a little lopsided if we're always chewing on one side, or, the list goes on. So let's do a little practice, okay? If you're able to get down on the floor and get up again, I would really like you to do that. If not, that's totally okay. Sit in a chair. I'm going to go down onto the floor just to show you the the difference. I'm not going to tell you what we're doing just yet, but you're going to sit and get up a few times, okay? So here I am. I'm going to sit on the floor just as I normally do. Okay. So all I want you to do, I don't want you to think about this. I want you to be aware of what the automatic pattern is for you. So all I want you to do is get up and down, say 3 times without changing anything. Just see how you normally do it. So I always do this and I come up. Okay. And then see how you get back down. Okay. So now try it again. Again, don't overthink it. I don't want you to change anything. Just get up. And go back down. And let's do it a 3rd time just for good measure, just in case something changed for one of you. So go ahead and get up again. And sit down. So I don't know if you noticed by watching me or within yourself, but if you were watching me, you probably noticed that I got up basically the exact same way every time. And I'm going to guess that those of you who weren't thinking about it too much were also getting up the same way every time. So this creates a lot of wear on the joints on the body because you're doing the same thing over and over. And chances are you also sat down the same way. So here is your fun, playful exploration practice. I want you to find as many ways as you can to get up in a different way. Can you do it? You have to think about it. So go ahead and take a few minutes. I want you to get up and down. Again, you can be in the chair to do this, that's fine. But get up and down as many ways as you can possibly do. There are not the way that you just did, okay? So go ahead, take a few minutes. It's not speed exercise. Do as fast or slow as you want. You could just do 1 time if you want to. And just all I want you to notice is, how does it feel to do it differently? Do any thoughts come up? Are you feeling frustrated with it? Does it feel weird? It probably does feel weird. Do something different and see how it feels. Just notice, just observation, right? Okay. So I think you can see what I'm getting at here. And maybe in that little exploration, I hope you're having a giggle at noticing that you might be doing some patterns that you weren't aware of. Another pattern, and this is very common, is holding the shoulders a little high. So noticing where your shoulders are through the day. And the other thing to think about is for those of you who might have a chronic, recurring kind of tightness or pain or injury, this is where you might want to think about, is there a pattern that you could change that might help alleviate that, whether it be in your thoughts or in your physical musculoskeletal patterning. So just take a few practices. Notice through the day, which hand are you always opening doors, and see if you can change it. So do it once in a different way. When you put on your clothes, see if you can put the other arm in first. There's so many ways to change it up a little bit. And I think that you'll find it quite interesting. And this is also, if you like to journal, then take a few moments to kind of write down your findings. It's like research. It's like you can be snoopy on yourself, and it's fun. So enjoy, and we'll see you in the next module.